Measure what can be measured and make measurable what cannot be measured. Galileo Galilei. In physics, the emphasis has always been given to the measurement of different types of physical quantities. As a physicist, we are continuously trying to improve the precision of our measurements. Let us understand the concept with an example. Here, we measure the distance between 2 points with the help of a scale. If we coincide the position of the first point with 0 and try to locate the position of second point, then we can see the second point lies in between the markers 4 and 5 and very much close to 5. On careful observation, we can see the point lies in between 4.8 and 5. If it is possible to zoom further, then we should be able to improve the precision of our measurement further. To sum up this illustration, we can say every measurement is associated with some uncertainty in it, and we can always improve the precision by improving our measurement techniques. This uncertainty in measurement leads to error. An error can be of three types: systematic, random, and gross. Errors that appear in measurement due to known causes are called systematic errors. Incorrect calibration or design, incorrect interpretation of instrument results, lack of accuracy in the formula are the main causes behind the systematic error. To elaborate, let us take an example of a faulty voltmeter. We can see the indicator is not coinciding with 0. Therefore, whatever measurements we perform with this voltmeter will have some error in it. Another common example is related to screw gauge. It is very common to have zero error in screw gauges. The systematic error in measurements are found consistently higher or consistently lower than the actual value of the physical quantity. In other words, systematic error is of the same size and sign. We can reduce systematic error by careful design of instrument and proper calibration of the instrument, or by improving the method of measurement itself. At next, we have random errors. These errors are appearing in the measurement due to unknown causes. They may arise due to a variety of factors which cannot be taken into account. These errors have no set patterns. For example, the reading of a sensitive physical balance may be affected by settling of dust particles on its pan. It is impossible to account how much dust particle has already settled down and change the final results of the measurement. It is impossible to eliminate random errors. However, with repeated measures and taking the average, we can reduce random errors. Next, we have gross errors. These errors appear in measurement due to sheer carelessness of the experimenter, like not caring for the source of the error and taking precautions for it, taking an incorrect reading, or not setting up the experiment properly. Like here, instead of the voltmeter, an ammeter is placed parallel to the resistor to measure the voltage. Now let us see some commonly used terms in error analysis. First one is true value. The true value of a physical quantity is the arithmetic mean of a large number of observations of that quantity. So, instead of taking only one measurement, we have to take several measurements of the same quantity and obtain the arithmetic mean to estimate the true value of the quantity. In this way, we can reduce random errors. Next, we have absolute error. It is the difference in magnitude of the true value and the measured value of the physical quantity during each measurement. Next, we have mean absolute error, which is the arithmetic mean of all the absolute errors in the measured value. Then we have relative error, which is the ratio of mean absolute error to the mean value of the quantity being measured. Finally, if we multiply the relative error by 100, we get percentage error. Now let us discuss the concept of error propagation. Any physics experiment involves a series of measurements, and often we have to perform mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. to get final results. As we know, each measurement is associated with a certain amount of errors. Hence, it is essential to discuss how errors propagate with these above mentioned mathematical operations. The first mathematical operation we discuss here is addition. Let us discuss when we add two numbers how errors propagate. Uncertainty in measuring physical quantity A is leading to an absolute error delta A. Similarly, uncertainty in measuring physical quantity B is leading to absolute error delta B. If we add these two physical quantities, then the maximum possibility of absolute error becomes delta A plus delta B. Now let us discuss these mathematical expressions with some illustrations. Here we have two lines of length A and B. The absolute error associated with these lengths are delta A and delta B respectively. If we combine these two lines, the true value of the big line will be A plus B. However, the final result may have absolute error delta A plus delta B. We have to remember that with every mathematical operations, error will increase. Numerically, let us assume true value of A is 6 cm with uncertainty 0.5 cm and true value of B is 5 cm with uncertainty 0.4 cm. Then A plus B will have a true value 11 cm. However, the uncertainty in this process will be increased to 0.9 cm. Now let's talk about subtraction operation. Here we can see absolute error in the final physical quantity has become plus minus delta A minus plus delta B. However, the maximum possible uncertainty remains the same, that is delta A plus delta B. The illustrations also show increased uncertainty in the final result. Numerically stating, if the true value of A is 11 cm with uncertainty 0.9 cm and the true value of B is 6 cm with uncertainty 0.4 cm, therefore the true value of A minus B will be 5 cm with uncertainty 1.3 cm. Now let us move to multiplication. While performing the mathematical steps to find out the absolute error in the product of A and B, we come across a term delta A multiplied with delta B. We can neglect this term because a product of two small quantities will become even smaller. For multiplication, the maximum possible uncertainty becomes A delta B plus B delta A. We can clearly understand the concept of propagation of error in multiplication with the help of the following illustration, where a rectangle is formed with the help of two sides having some uncertainty in measurement, and we get an error in the final area of the rectangle. In the case of division, we need to take the help of Taylor series expansion and some mathematical tricks to find out the propagation of uncertainty. Maximum uncertainty becomes A by B times delta A by A plus delta B by B. Now let us see how errors propagate in powers. At first, let us take the value of n to be 2. We can find out the uncertainty becomes 2A delta A. Considering the value of n to be 3, we can find out the uncertainty becomes 3A squared delta A. Following the same mathematical progression, we can say for x, which is a to the power n, the uncertainty will become a to the power n minus 1 delta A. Now let's talk about the least count. Least count is defined as the smallest measurement that can be performed accurately with any instrument. As an example, we can say meter scale is having least count 1 mm, vernier calipers do have least count 0.1 mm, and screw gauge generally have least count 0.01 millimeters. The value of least count may differ based on the configuration of the concerned instruments. Next, we have limit of precision. This is half of the smallest division of measurement any device can measure. So, in case of a screw gauge having least count 0.01 millimeter, the limit of precision is going to be plus minus 0.005 millimeters. Next, we have significant figure, which is defined as the number of digits in a measurement which an observer is certain plus one additional digit. Zeros may or may not be counted as a significant digit based on their position in any number. There are certain rules for evaluating the number of significant figures. All non-zero digits are significant. Here we can see some examples with each mentioned rules. In parentheses, the significant figures for each numbers are mentioned. Zeros to the left of an understood decimal point but the right of a non-zero digit are not significant. Zeros to the left of an expressed decimal point and right of a non-zero digit are significant. By expressing decimal points, the observer can stress on the accuracy of his measurement. Zeros to the right of a decimal point but to the left of a non-zero digit are not significant. And finally, zeros to the right of a decimal point and the right of a non-zero digit are significant. Overall, significant figures are associated with the accuracy of the measurement. However, we need to remember that the accuracy of the mathematical calculations can never be higher than the accuracy of the experimental measurement itself. For a better understanding of this statement, let us perform some mathematical operations and discuss their final results. In addition or subtraction operation, the number of decimal places in the result should be equal to the smallest number of decimal places of any number in the sum or difference. Let us see an example where three numbers are added. At first, we do the mathematical addition of the three numbers 3.76, 146.855 and 1.2, which comes out to be 151.815. Now, we note down the decimal places of each number. 3.76, 146.855 and 1.2 are expressed with 2, 3 and 1 decimal places respectively. So, we have to round off our final answer to a number with only one decimal place, that is 151.8. Similarly, we can deal with the subtraction operation. As the result of the subtraction came out 3.56, we have to round it off one decimal place, which is 3.6. In the case of multiplication or division, the number of significant figures in the result should be equal to the number of significant figures of the least precise terms in multiplication or division. In our example of multiplication, 3.437 and 12 are having significant figures 4 and 2 respectively. Hence, the final result should be expressed with only two significant figures. So we have to round off our result from 41.244 to 41. In our next example, 105 is having three significant figures and 5.5 is having two significant figures. So after performing division operation, the final result should contain only two significant figures. Therefore, instead of 19.09, we have to round it off to 19. We are familiar with the term rounding off. If the first digit after the last significant figure is 5 or higher, then the last significant figure should be increased by 1. However, if the digit beyond the last significant figure is less than 5, then the last significant figure remains unchanged. Another relevant term which we need to discuss in this context is order of magnitude. It is used to provide an idea about how big or small a number is. Generally, to get the order of magnitude, any number is expressed in the form of n equal to a times 10 to the power x, where a should be greater than 0.3162 and less than or equal to 3.162. If we can express any number in the expression mentioned above, then x is called the order of magnitude.